Okay, so now for the second part of this tutorial, let's go back to the saving what we were doing. In the last tutorial, we were wrapping up by saving this to PDF to the correct Dropbox folder. So we've done that, and the reason that I need you to do that is every listing presentation I go on when I'm meeting with a client, I'm going to show them this, and the reason is, you see where it says square footage right here? 1,692 square feet. I always want to make sure that that matches up with the listing, the last listing. In this case, it didn't. See, 1419 Collin. Right here, it's showing 1,800 square feet, and right here, it's showing 1,692. I actually had to have a conversation with that seller and say, "Look, Mr. Miss Seller, I noticed that the square footage is off here. Can you tell me about that? I want to make sure the square footage is obviously accurate." Just a couple of more things I can make sure. I can generally, a lot of times they're going to have bedrooms and baths. I can see the year built, square footage that they're saying that it's at again. That's the big things that I look for. But that's what you saved, just so you know that a little more in depth. The other thing that we are going to save goes back to the spec sheet, which is this, that we looked up on that address, which is this right here. I printed to PDF. I'm going to save that file the same way. So here's what I would put. We're going to be in the right folder at that point, which you would have went to in the Dropbox that I share with you. And you would just type in, let's see, spec sheet. So you would put 1419 Collin, the address of the property, hyphen with the dash, and spec sheet or tax record sheet. This is a spec sheet, so you would just put spec. So I would just save it 1419 Collin slash, it doesn't even have to be Avenue, just Collin, so that way I know what property, just in case it got lost somehow in another folder. But then we would do that, spec, save it, and we're good with that. So that's the first two steps, what you're going to do. The next step that we are going to do is from that, we are going to go ahead and let's do research. So the main page we're going to use is that one we were just on. And I am going to bring that up. So let's go ahead and bring that up real quick. So you can see from the summary that I sent you in the initial email, you were able to pull the address, you got on RealTrax, you found the address, you looked up all of the properties that were available that were under that address. So you typed in the number, the name. You can see I only had to put 1419 Collin. I didn't have to put Avenue. I could have put COL to look it up. So I could have put 1419 COL. There may be other street names in Murfreesboro that start off with COL and have that street number, but we're going to check again. So we would click search again, and from there we would see all of the properties. We could sort it if we wanted, or just look for the largest number. That would be the newest spec sheet for us to print. So then we would print that sheet. This sheet we are going to use for this next section. So once you printed that off, you would have a spec sheet you could open that looks just like that. So you could have that alongside what you're doing for the research. I have two screens, so I'm able to have my research on one side. So here's what we're going to do. You would go to search always, quick search. That's going to be how you start this off. You would go to all selected on the area, and then from there I'm going to go active, hold the control key down and select pending and closed. On the close date, when I tell you 6 months back, that means 6 months back from today's date. So in that case, and it doesn't have to be exactly to the day, but if it's really close, that's what we're looking for. I generally go the first of the month. So I would say, okay, it's the beginning of March, so I would go February, January, December, November, October, September. So I would say about September. The 1st of September 2013 for when it's closed. I want to go 6 months back, so we can just say September 1st, 2013. So we're going to do that here. You can click on this, and you can do that. I think generally what I do is just, here's one way you can do it. So you could just click on that. That's going to pop up here, or you could just do that, 11/1/13. And that's going to do it for you. From here, with that email that I sent you, you're going to see that market research pulled. I need the active, pending, and closed since 6 months back. So we just did that. We went active, pending, and closed selected on the status. You want to make sure this is cleared out because we're trying to find every property outside of that property now, what was active, pending, and closed in that area. So first we're starting off all area selected, active, pending, and closed selected, site built for the type. So go ahead and let's leave out the rest of these. Click site built. If you do all, most of the time that's not going to affect it too much, but I would click site built. With the active and pending dates, you don't have to do anything to that. But with the close date, we want to go what is sold 6 months back. So we plug that in. Let's see what the next step is we need to do. Next step is within 250 square feet plus or minus our subject property. So what does that mean? Well, you can see on our spec sheet that we printed, the total square footage will always be in the same place. You'll see finished square feet. It has main living space of that. That's a second. So that's going to be the second story has that much square footage for a total of 1,800 square feet. We always want to look at the total. And there are different things we can go through. If it has a basement, we want to count that as half. So whatever square footage it is, if it's 800 square feet, we want to add that as 400. So total, let's just say if it was 400 square feet with this, that would be shown as 1,800 square feet, or let's just say that was the basement square footage, and it was saying 1,800 square feet. We would divide that by 2, and we would use whatever number that is as our total. So basement square footage just doesn't count the same as square footage does that is on a main level. It just counts as about half. So with that, when I said 250 square feet plus or minus the subject property, this is our subject property. And this square footage, we're going to go everything that has active, pending, or sold 200 square feet less. So I would go about 1,550 to 2,050. So from there, let's go ahead and do that. I would go back to my quick search in the square footage. I would go 1,550 to 2,050. So that covers that part of it. We figured that out. Now we need in the same elementary district, area, and city. So here's what I do generally. First off, you can see the area will be area 24. You can see that the city is Murfreesboro. And you can see elementary school districts always in the middle, about the middle of the page. Elementary, Scales, or Rockville. I would generally just go with the first elementary district. So with that, you're going to type in Scales. So let's go back and we're going to do that now. For the area, it said it was 24. So I'm going to go to 24. Select that. For the elementary district, we're going to go Scale for Scales. And Murfreesboro, if you wanted, you could type in Murph. Generally, if you do this in that area, you probably won't even have to type city, and it would just be everyone in Murfreesboro. So we've got that covered now. So with that, we just covered the same elementary school district, the same area, and the same city. Also, make sure the bedrooms and bathrooms are the same as we discussed. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So we are going to make sure to just go beds, total, not the main, because that would be on the main floor and there would be others. We want to go 3 bedrooms total and leave that blank, 2 baths total. So if you just wanted to do that. And from here, that's all we're needing. When research is complete, we're going to have this. So what I would do after this, after you have everything correctly, you go to search. And with this, you can see, first off, I would go to page size. I would extend that to all. And what that's going to do is make it so we don't have to scroll through one page at a time. We can have everything in one spot. And from here, you can see we have a lot of results. When I have a lot of results like that, and I can see that I have a subdivision of Plantation South for this. That's the actual little subdivision where it will have so many homes together. And with that, you can see if I sorted by subdivision, you can see that there are quite a few Plantation Souths. So what I would do is at this point, I would just say, hey, with Plantation South subdivision, they're all close together. We've got a lot of each one of these. Why don't we just do this? So I would select all that were in that subdivision, and then I would go to select function, narrow listings. You see how I checked those? That's the ones I wanted to keep. And when I sort it, you can see what happened here. So you can see these are active, pending, closed. They're all over the place. You can actually go by status at this point. Now it's going to show active, pending, and closed. So what I'm looking for off of the research is 1 to 2 active properties to compare to ours, 1 pending property, and 2 closed properties. So with this, we have at least 1 to 2 actives, we have 1 pending at least, and we have at least 2 closed. So this is really easy research to do. I'm going to go ahead and go to another tutorial. This is basically how you're going to pull the research, but let's go to the next tutorial now.